Let's go. I don't want to hold anyone up. So welcome to the Superconscious Upgrade Total Life Overhaul webinar. And I'm really excited to be here. I want to say welcome to the webinar, welcome to country. And country is really the whole planet, because we're all part of the whole planet and we all work together. So this presentation is for you if you're looking for the most advanced sort of conscious education training available and are ready to take your life to the next level. And I'm talking about the superconscious creator, to become a superconscious creator. And the superconscious creation code is really a combination of ancient wisdom, alchemy, neuroscience, hermetic principles, and the most advanced manifestation techniques that are around at this moment. And it's really the missing key to truly stepping into the most magnificence of you. And people have been able to get amazing results from doing this work. So this is my brother Dean, and with our mentor Chris Duncan. So Dean, if you look at the picture of 2020 in March, I asked Chris if it was all right to bring Dean to the webinar, to the 3-day live event that we had on the Gold Coast. He was at a point in his life, our father had just passed away. He was lost, and if you can see March 2022, he's a completely transformed person. And he focused on his end result. And so there's been dozens of other people who've been able to change their lives, to stop their diabetes medication, or their tumors have disappeared. They've had huge wealth breakthroughs. They've suddenly developed those relationships that they're after that they never thought that they could have. And this is just a couple of my clients who've had those massive breakthroughs, who every time they focus on their work, on doing this and staying focused on it, they start to get the shifts and changes that they really want in their world. And doing this work is an evolution. It's not an overnight. It's not something that just takes one day. It's something that takes our persistence and something that takes us into the world. Julie or JS too, yeah. And when my brother lost his vision, it's because he didn't want to see what was in his life. But of course, we know that energetically, but from a physical perspective, it's because he had a stroke. And we know that energetically, we create and co-create whatever's going on in our life. But it doesn't take 5 minutes. It's not something that you did last week. It's something that happened to you 20 years ago or however many years. And it's taken this long to manifest. But it's still manifested. And we all knew that, well, I knew that he had that spiritual connection that he didn't want to see. And so by bringing him into this work, his whole life shifted, and now he's become this amazing practitioner as well and doing the work. And this is Patrick Morales. I remember when he sent Chris the message about he was running. He wasn't just walking, he was running, and it was so exciting. So when we're a superconscious creator, it's a really different way to be. It is really the most predictable way to turn our thoughts into things and to start to step up into where we want to be. And it's not feeling positive. It's not about willpower. It's not about motivation or overcoming barriers or therapy or problem solving or fixing. And it's not some weird psychic trick to fool the universe into giving you what you want. It's not hypnotizing you. It's not rubbing that and getting the genie out of the bottle or pulling the rabbit out of the hat. It's so much more than that. And what happens though, when you do it and using it, your life will be completely changed. You feel positive, you have willpower, you have motivation, you stop the procrastination. You start to overcome barriers because you're not trying to fix anything. You're not problem solving. And it looks to others like you're part of some cult or weird psychic thing. But really what's happening is you're changing the neurology of your brain and you're getting those really good vibes and stepping into being you. So what I want to teach you today is the magical creative structure, the superconscious shift, and how you recode and let go of that egoic resistance. So it feels like you are rubbing that bottle with the genie in it, right? And I really appreciate you for joining me today. I know exactly what it's like to be searching for the truth, to be left oscillating, living in scarcity, struggle, survival, and striving for success, having some areas of your life working and others not. So let's start at the beginning and let's talk about my story a little bit. And I've got that nice picture so you can look at it and instead of looking at me, so it's really cool. So I've always been a healer. I was born that way. I did nursing because my mum thought that would be the best way for me to be a healer. And I'm sure we all know, you know, you either be a teacher, a secretary, or you've got to have a trade. So it was either nursing or secretarial, and secretarial was never going to work for me. So nursing had to be the only option because I was no good at anything else. And I injured my back nursing. I couldn't walk. I was part of a clinical trial. I had to learn to walk again, and I had to make choices about my career. So I never did hospital nursing. I always worked out in the community and did occupational health and safety. And I met my husband. He had a brain injury as a result of a motorbike accident, and it enabled me to step up into being more of who I was. But at the same time, his damage was so severe that I was told he would never walk or talk or be capable of doing anything ever again. And but that was not my choice. I had an end result, a desired reality that he would do all of those things, and he's doing all of those things. We went to Malaysia to see a Qigong master. He was not fully conscious when we went there. We had lots of fun. I went with another friend who had her baby who had a reaction to the vaccines at that point and was having 360 fits a day. So the two of us, you can imagine what a combination, to fly to Malaysia, to be put up and stay in a hotel room, which wasn't suitable. So then we walked around town, had to find another place to stay. But ultimately, the end result was that he was going to get better. That was my focus. And the people that we went to see, which was a Qigong master, he worked on my husband and the other baby for 4 hours a day. And so it's crazy. And what the biggest thing was, he said to me, he needs to have the shunt taken out of his brain and then his memory will come back. And I said, well, that's not possible because he needs it because there's so much pressure in his brain, blah, blah, blah. We came back to Australia. I got a carer to look after him so I could work. And he got really ill. And so we lived about an hour from Perth. So we had to have an emergency ambulance up to Perth, and they took his shunt out because it was infected, and the neurosurgeon said he'd never seen anything like it before in his life. So after that, in recovery, he improved and he got memory. Not all memory, but he got some memory back. And so it became the journey of rehabilitation. So it's not been an easy journey. I burnt out, I got cancer, I broke my leg twice, I've torn all the ligaments in my shoulder, I've got chronic fatigue, got all the things that happen when you give yourself over to look after everyone else, right? And we all know that, either as parents or as carers, whether we're looking after kids, grandkids, or our own parents. And as a mother, that's what you do, that's your focus, right? Or as a carer. And so that's sort of my story in a nutshell. And I was working, I've worked the whole time, but everything I wanted to achieve was a struggle. And everyone else I thought was successful, but not me. And they thought differently to me. So I was the problem. I was a big problem to myself. And those of you who've done spiritual work know that the problem is we blame ourselves, because we must be the problem, because we've created whatever it is that we've done. And I realized that I needed to change. And I realized that it has to be unconsciously things that are working against me, because I was doing all this work, doing NLP, EFT, done all the stuff that you do to go into yourself and look at what you're doing. But it wasn't easy, and so it was a big struggle. And really our unconscious is that part of us that runs the body. It's the domain of the feelings and emotions that we have, but it's trainable. And what I didn't realize was the more I focused on trying to fix it, the more I was recreating it. And when we think about children, and I know thinking about my husband, and I'm just going to have to close my door, so excuse me for a minute. I had to think of ways, how was I going to retrain him? When we work with kids, with our babies, they absorb all the information, right? They absorb it, they observe it. But when you're working with someone with a brain injury, how do you teach them the subtleties of life? How do you teach them what needs to happen for them to be able to be part of society? And that was my questions. One of the things in my research was I found out about this girl in America who only had 10% of a brain. And she was at university studying all this stuff. And so this is before we knew about neuroplasticity and that you could retrain the brain. We were all taught previously that once your brain was damaged, that was it. You couldn't do anything else. But now we know we can create new neuronal pathways, and we're doing it all the time. And so thinking about that, I thought, well, we must be able to do things to retrain the brain, and that was my focus for him. But I didn't realize that it should be my focus as well. Not until I met Chris Duncan. But our unconscious goal is really to keep us safe and to keep us alive. So the more that we learn at an early age, like an accent, the more ingrained it is in our brain. And it's really to keep us alive, to keep us safe, to survive. And as babies give off pheromones to make everyone love them, our brain does amazing things to keep us safe as well, because we want to be taken care of. And so our unconscious agenda is to find a condition, to find something that it survives, that it recognizes, and to keep finding more of it. So no matter how painful or limiting it is, and when you think about if it survived it, it's a far better option than trying something new that it doesn't know. So if we survive something, our unconscious wants more of it because it has all those emotions and feelings and beliefs and circumstances and conditions already set, no matter what it is. And when we start to think about that, when we try and create something else, because, you know, we see all these things that, oh, they're going to fix us. People who win lotto have lost generally all their money within 3 years. There's 75%, they reckon. And 95% are worse off in 5 years than they were beforehand. And this is a study that was done in America for the National Endowment for Financial Education, because we're not trained. We don't get a manual when we've got babies. We're never given training on good financial advice. And even if we're really talented, like athletes, and I know in Australia now they educate all the footballers on financial literacy, but they never used to. So people that earned a lot of money, they spent it. And they always were bankrupt, you know, because they have a finite life as a sports person. So unless they have that good training, they lose it because of their family conditioning. So we just keep running away. If we're exposed to a pattern that we don't think is safe, we start to run from it. And that's our unconscious egoic agenda that keeps us on the move. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you think about people who are super successful and they're multi-millionaires or billionaires now, they had no inheritance. They had nothing. And they came from lower class, middle class families. And our unconscious egoic agenda is the way it is for good reasons. When things don't change, despite all the learning, all the interventions, there's usually an unconscious ecology objection that we don't know about. And our unconscious, as I said, always wants to survive, to keep the body alive. And whatever the unconscious survives becomes the point that we always go back to. So no matter what we're doing, if we're trying something new, if our unconscious doesn't have anything to connect it to, our fallback position will always be back into that place. So if we have toxic shame as a child and we feel like we're going to lose our sense of belonging or we're going to die, and we don't, even though we've survived it, we always seek for places to shame us. So that, and we're not going to die from it, but it just becomes our agenda, and we just keep doing it and shifting it. So our brain encounters a threat. We can't run away. We can't fight because we don't know. We don't have the capacity. But we don't perish. We live through it, we survive it. And then that becomes an essential element in continuing to live. And this creates a condition and gives us our unconscious values as we move forward in life. It's crazy when you think about it. And so we have 9 unconscious egoic agendas. And these are things that our unconscious has decided to keep us safe. So there's unworthy, not good enough, don't belong, not safe, can't handle negative emotions, not perfect, don't have permission to even be me, and I'm not able to handle conflict or I'm powerless. So there's 9 main agendas, and then there's sub-agendas to all of those. And I'm sure you recognise, usually we've got a bit of all of them. We shift and change. So after meeting Chris, I decided I needed to fix mine, and it was obvious I needed to get rid of that part of the agenda. And I'd already tried, as I said, hypnosis, EFT, NLP, therapy, books, seminars, workshops, all the stuff that you do. And it did leave more questions. And I seemed to get more and more stuck. I was successful in some areas of life, but I wasn't successful in others. And it was doing my head in. And really, when I talked to other people, they were struggling. They're always, it's like pushing, uphill and it always rolling back down on you. And I know, I'm sure you feel the same way. And, it doesn't matter what you do, you're always struggling. There's always that scarcity, always that struggle. You're always fighting yourself because we believe we're the problem. And it's really a structural problem that we have. And we're really not alone. And like I said, I was successful in one area, other areas of life, but I wasn't successful in one. And we're always searching for something to fix it. And then I met Chris Duncan. He's one of my clients. He still is. And he explained what was missing. He says, you're not joking. He's broken. He said, the personal development world's broken. It's trained us to believe that we have to be fixed. But really, in reality, we have to be it to see it. We have to consciously create what we want and move with it because we're super conscious. We have a super conscious ability, and we're always training and teaching our consciousness in every moment where our power is. And we're killing our conscious creative power by focusing the wrong way. We're focusing on that fixing. And that's where you need coaching, because we can't always see where we're going. So we have our current reality, and underneath our current reality is all those old wounds. And we have a desired reality that we want to go to. And we start with our current reality and move towards that desired reality. But we also have an unconscious agenda which says that we can't change, because if we change, we may not survive it. And so we've got two agendas that are competing each other. One is to change, and the other one is not to change. And so we just keep going. Every time we move forward, we keep going back into that old agenda. So we keep turning around and going back to where we were, because that's where it's safe. And when you think about this, we're creating this tension, but we're not able to let it go. So our success and failures are really structural and not personal. It's not because we're doing the wrong thing. It's because we've got this unconscious structure that holds us back. And the goal of where we want to be violates that unconscious agenda. So you're always going to find your way back. And trying to fix yourself, and that's what happens, get it fixed. You need to do this course. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do all this. You need to do rebirthing. You need to do all this other stuff. But all we're doing is trying to fix it. And the more we try and fix it, the more we're teaching ourselves that we're broken. And so you just have to stay how you are. But doing this super conscious work makes that shift a lot easier, because you've got to live in the right structure, and then creating the results is easy because it's success without struggle, because we're shifting levels of consciousness. So we've got these three levels of consciousness. We've got our self-conscious, which is our ego, which is like night and day, gives us polarity. We've got our unconscious, which we talk about as our soul, which is quite limited, and our superconscious, which is infinite, which gives us unlimited, which is objective. Our unconscious and our self-conscious are quite subjective, and so it's crazy. So the thing that we use is a recode. We teach your consciousness how to recode the connections it has. And we usually start off doing that with a coach, because you need someone else to guide you and give those commands. You need to be able to return to the wholeness of who you are. What is your original blueprint? What did you come in? You came in creation. And you retain more information, and you have all of your understandings in one, because you're not trying to fix anything. So we have those 3 levels of consciousness that creates our reality. We have 3 memories, and our memories instruct our active experience, because we created it and we co-create in everything that we do. And for us, we have to live in that creative structure, because that's where the magic happens. And we have to be in that creative structure rather than the problem structure. In the problem structure, we just react or respond. And you know, when you work in business, there's either businesses that are proactive or reactive. In business, you usually set up a business plan, you know where you want to be, but a lot of people start a business as a problem structure because they're trying to fix it. They want a better income, but all they do is recreate a job. And instead of being proactive and working on what they want to create, they tend to be reactive. And as things come up, they have to react to them because they don't know how to control them. But when we're in a creative structure, we can choose the driving forces. The circumstances that we're in now are just the starting point, and we don't react. We just take action on behalf of a desired result. And when you start to think like that, you realize that tension is how we hold a structure together. We control the focus and therefore the tension. And so then we have opposing forces, and then we can start to live in a new structure instead of our old structure. With the recode, we want to have that desired reality. We want to step into the emotion of that end result. We want to create the structural tension, looking at where I am now against where I want to be. And then we want to remove the resistance to that and take action. So what is the aligned action steps that are required? And when we're mastering superconscious creation, the road looks a bit like this, because our current reality with those beautiful egoic agendas is a safe place because you've survived it. You compensate for the negative beliefs about ourselves, and we think we have to fix ourselves because of all these egoic agendas. And we usually fall back into that when we hit resistance as we're stepping into that new reality. And when you start to think about that, it's crazy. We do it though. That's what we do. So I applied everything that I learned and stepped into my superconscious power and focused in that creative structure and started to let go of my unconscious agenda, and I won, because you do. That's what happens. So in 2019 was when I learned the processes, simple 5 steps, became certified as a coach. I was the first coach employed to do the one-on-one sessions for prospective clients. Done over 1,000 clients and done more than 3,000 recodes now. And it really is the most advanced consciousness training on the planet. It's not a 2 days, 1 session or hype. It's really a 12-month intense consciousness upgrade. And really, as starseeds, way showers, healers, therapists, whatever, we're here to bring all the new energies onto the planet. We're here to anchor them. We're here to be the example for others so that they can start to step up. The more work that we do with the superconscious, the more we work in the field, the more that we're allowing that information to be released for people when they're ready to access it. And it's so powerful, and I just love it. And the biggest problem that people have is that you have to struggle to get anywhere in life. And the struggle's real, right? We hear it on the news every day. People are living in their cars. People, the cost of living's rising. The power is going to go up another 25%. The price of fuel's gone up. The interest rates have gone up and people can't afford to pay their mortgages anymore. Crazy. But no one's ever taught us how to use our true power. We've been so focused on problem solving, we've given our power away to other people. We've tried to trick ourselves into giving the things that we want. We believe the narrative that government, society has given us when it's not true. And we really don't know our true unconscious self. We just think our circumstances or an outcome will change us. And we let those negative emotions own us because we believe in what the narrative is. So the solution to that is to become super conscious. It's to look at what super successful people do and do something similar. They focus on what they want. They take action towards what they want. And they invent or create new ways, new ideas of doing things because they're not trying to fix themselves. They just go ahead and do it because they believe in it. And so the focuses of my program is that creative structure, the shift and recoding. And I really want to thank you for today because this is my version of the superconscious journey. We're born, we're wounded, we get called to adventure, but we refuse to listen. How many people do you know that just keep going round and round on that hamster wheel? And then we get, somebody says something, we get a mentor, we something happens in our life and we get drawn into something. And then we think, wow, there has to be a better way. And so we cross that threshold and then we find out who are our enemies, who are our allies. And then we get, oh, okay then, well, this person keeps pulling me down. Obviously, I've drawn this person into my world to teach me something, but that's their journey, not mine. And so we start to do that inner work. We start to look at what is it that I truly want? What's in my heart? What's in my soul? What am I here for? What's my true nature and purpose? So then we start to face those parts of ourselves. And this is why the recode is so important. We start to do that and we start to step into our new identity because we're releasing all the old stuff and we're finding who we truly are. And we're stepping into that and it's just massive to do that. And so then we work out, okay, well, I've got this unconscious and self-conscious. I've got all this programming and structure that I was born into. But I have this superconscious, which is a place of objectivity, a place of infinite possibility, a place where if I work well with it and do the required steps, everything merges together. You have that heart-mind superconscious connection, that connection to all it is, that connection to everything that we're all looking for. And we become superconscious and we become conscious creators and we can't return to the old world. And so then we take another step up, another layer, because then we're mastering two worlds. We're living in this third dimensional world that's changing, but we're thinking in a fifth, sixth, seventh dimensional way. So we're able to master those two worlds. We're able to live in the world, but we think differently. We have special knowledge. We have things that people don't have. We don't have to stay stuck in that scarcity, struggle, survival, searching mode. Because we're working, all of us, heart, mind, spirit, We're working together as one. We have connection. We know what our end result is, and our superconscious starts to bring to us the things, the information, the path that we need to keep moving forward and to keep climbing. And so then we move to another level. And if you think about the Fibonacci spiral, it's my effort to draw it, didn't work very well, but we're on the next level of the spiral then. So we're still being called to the next adventure. We're still looking at, okay, do I really want to do any more, or am I happy to stay where I am? So what's the next level? And the more that you do this work, the more that you start to uncover that there's layers of it. And the more that you realize that what my choices are, what my relationships are, what my work is, or not work, or what my income is, or whatever it is, comes from a different perspective. And it shifts and changes us, and it's massive. So this is my Wake Up and Live program, and I really want to thank you, everyone, for listening today. I've really enjoyed it. Oh, there's just some testimonies that I have. And as I said, I didn't say I'm not here to sell you anything today. I'm just here to give you information. And I'm just going to move my slides along to the end. And it's really about focusing on what your desired reality is. Choosing it, writing it down. Do your lenses, your focus, your diary every day, and step into those emotions. One of the things that we're learning neurologically is that the more you visualize and focus on your end result, step into, what does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel? What are you wearing? What does the material feel on your skin? How does all that feel? What's the emotions? Who am I with? How do I look? How am I dressed? And it's really step into the visualization, and the emotion of it helps to create the tension and separate you from where you are now to where you want to be. And then when we start to move the resistance and we take the action steps by asking our superconscious, what's the aligned action? What's the next step that I need to take? Is what shifts us on the road to get to that desired reality. Because when we hit these resistances and we start to name them, okay, this is this aspect of myself that's come up today, we know what it is, and we just go, thank you so much. Thank you for showing up today. I really love you. I can see that I'm not been listening, what it is that you want to share with me. Why are you feeling like that? And we can recode it, or we can own it and let it go. And so that is the power of doing this work. So you don't have to re-experience anything, because you just know that these are unconscious things. They're family stuff, they're past life maybe, they're multidimensional, whatever they are. They're part of you, and it's time for you to let them go and step into you. So be the next conscious creator. Be the next success story for yourself. And I really thank you very much for listening to me today. And if you've got any questions, I would love to hear you speak, if there's anything else. And thank you so much.
Julie was asking what WAKE stands for.
WAKE stands for want it, act on it, get the knowledge, embody it, and embrace it. And the up is unlimited possibilities, is what it means. Yeah. You can speak, unmute yourself, Julie, and that'll be great. Oh, you just muted yourself again. That's it.
You
Done.
can just tap the space bar, I think.
There we go.
There you go.
It wasn't working. Yeah, nice, Julie. Yeah, yeah, I've lost us now. There we go. I didn't understand what the letters stood
Yeah.
for. So thank you. Yeah, that's great.
It's
I
a
love the
program.
webinar.
Sorry, go on.
No, I love the webinar and I think dropping the resistance is hard for a lot of us. Obviously, it's our egoic agenda and our unconscious doesn't want us to. We have to just drop it. Right.
Look, it's like 10 steps forward, pull back, do a recode. And what I tell my clients is every time you do something and you notice what that resistance is, what a resistance that comes up, just sit with it and identify it and ask it, because all it's trying to do is to tell you that it feels threatened. And the more you ignore it, the more threatened it feels and the more it will try to pull you back. Doing this work is not about ignoring the resistances. This is about identifying what your resistance is, but knowing your desired realities over here. This is my end result. This is where my current reality is. And today I feel like I don't belong. And the work that I'm doing today makes me feel I don't belong. And obviously I go, oh, there you go, superconscious. Did you see that? Did you see that resistance? Did you see what I just thought? Did you see how I reacted? Did you see? and so you own it.
Yeah, looked at it lovingly and said,
Yeah.
okay, I notice you. I know you're here and I know why you're here.
Yeah.
But let me
and
go
it's
forward now.
that's it.
Now that I know you're there.
Yeah, perfect. You got it. And so once we start to do that, and I get people to write it down in their lenses, whatever, and I write down what that resistance was that came up. And when you go and do a session, just note that you have that resistance. And so then look at, because when we do the group sessions, we ask you if you have already got what your choice is. And so if you have that choice and you already know what your resistance is and you know that it was like 200 over 10, then you know you've got a starting point. Right?
It's a pretty high starting point. Yeah.
It is. And sometimes you feel like that. And sometimes you feel no matter what you do, you can't move past it. No matter what you do, you feel like you can't move past it. And generally, what I find with clients is they don't move past it because they haven't owned it. They're just trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a different mindset. And it's also how you write your choice. So I'm always really clear on how you write your choice, because it has to be as an end result. It can't be as a fixing thing.
Right.
And so I get people to alter their end result so it becomes a true choice, not a fixing. Because we have, if you like, at the top of the tree, for me, is the powerful creator, if you can see it. Or predominant creative force. Underneath that is living the life I love, right? And then you've got health, you've got finances, you've got family. So I always think of it like an umbrella. And that the top of the tree is being that powerful creator. And underneath that is I want to be living the life that I love. And so that encompasses everything then. And then underneath that, you've got your health, your finances, your family. And then underneath these, you've got healthy, relationships, friends. You've got finances, which means is it the work that you're doing, the job that you have, passive income? Is it traveling the world, having enough money to set up your foundation so you can do philanthropic work? So you do the things that you want to do for the society. And then we have our health and vitality, which health is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So that's how I see it. That's my version. And
That's nice. Yeah.
And when we think about it like that, it's really comprehensive. And then we can fit all these we create sub choices. But the big choice is that we want to be the powerful creator of our own life. We're going to co-create with other people because that's what we do. And that's part of being that powerful creator. For a lot of people, it's really hard to step into that because I can't be a powerful creator. If I'm a powerful creator, I might destroy the planet. If I'm a powerful creator, I've got this fear that I'm going to hurt other people. If I'm this powerful creator, it means that I have to be responsible for what I do. Right? So it brings up all people's biggest resistances when they start to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, of course,
All the reasons we can't be.
Oh,
right?
absolutely all the reasons we can't be.
Yeah.
But, for me, that was like, when we first learned this, Chris used to talk about the powerful creator. So I said, yes, that's what I want. Because I realized that brought up all my resistances big time. Because, as a healer and light worker or starseed, whatever you want to call yourself, for me, I knew that one of my fears was my own power. But by stepping into that and owning it and becoming the magnificence of who I am and choosing that meant that I was responsible and I already felt responsible for what I did. But it also allowed me to have that deeper connection to myself. And it did bring up, and I know as with my clients, it always brings up their biggest resistances because they feel like they can't be that. I haven't got permission to be that. If I did that, what would people think?
Yeah.
So
give you a shift in your feeling for the powerful, didn't you get a different sense of powerful after becoming super conscious, right?
yeah,
It's a different kind of powerful.
it is a powerful thing because I chose to be the powerful creator of my life. Yeah. And then when I unpacked that, what did it feel like? Well, it felt amazing. It felt like I was me. I was at home. Felt like that I could be, do, or have and choose. It felt like I was fully connected to spirit. It felt like I was always going to be connected, that I would always be shown the right way. Felt like that I could live the life that I love. I could live in the home. I could have the relationships. I could travel. I could have holidays. I could be booked out with clients. that I had a group, that I had all these things which fitted all of this, because when I unpack from this point, I include everything, so that I had everything that I wanted, that I chose just because I could, not because I had to, not because I was trying to fix anything, but because that made me a complete person. Yeah, if that helps.
Yeah.
And it just takes it to a different perspective. That's good. So anything else, beautiful
The
lady?
idea of the tree.
Yeah. Well, I talk about it as an umbrella. When you open the umbrella,
Oh,
you've got all
yeah.
the spinners. Yeah. So it's
I
good.
was thinking it was a tree, but yeah, you did say that, didn't you?
But it looks
Yeah,
like a
it's
tree.
nice.
Yeah. Because, we're always growing and shifting and changing. And we're
It's great.
always evolving, and the energies on the planet have shifted so much. In the last few weeks, we've been asked to make a choice. We've been asked to choose to live our true nature and purpose. We've asked to step into that, and people have made a choice, unconsciously or consciously, and now we're asked to truly step into that and to have the path laid out before us ready. So people are finding that things are, some things are easier, some things are harder. People are passing away, people are,